What's going on, guys? Nico here, and welcome to one of my favorite lessons, arpeggiation, in the live part of it here. And really, arpeggiation is just taking either a chord or a sequence of notes and repeating it over and over and over again. And this right here is a beautiful arp. This one. But there are a lot of other arps we haven't even explored yet. They're going to even push your creativity even to the higher level. And I'm just making sure I cover everything here. You're going to get that creative boost that I talked about during the PowerPoint slides. And then we're going to go into like the Nico signature arps. So these are arps that I've come up with over the years that I've learned on my own and by playing others' music, right? So the first one is called Arp Heaven. And we're going to do 4 of them here. And we're going to go through a couple different examples of each, maybe even more than a couple. But Arp Heaven, essentially what it is if we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, just on a constant rhythm, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reason why I call them Arp Heaven is typically we play them up here and they sound beautiful with chords. So an Arp Heaven example that we've gone over is a C power octave chord. And then playing power chords with my right hand, I'll play an A, F, C, and G. And it sounds beautiful. It's Arp Heaven. That's why I came up with the name Arp Heaven. I think Arp Heaven sounds great. So what I want to do is I want to practice through a couple different types of Arp Heaven. Now, also doing it in a couple different keys. That's something that we haven't really done that much yet, but I want to just show you how cool these can sound. So the one arp we're going to do is we're actually going to put our thumb, middle finger on the black notes, on the E flat, on the B flat, and then the E. Progression. It's going to be a C power octave chord, or a C power chord, an A flat power octave chord, an E flat just power chord, and then a G power octave chord. So here we go. And if you can stretch it, this is where it gets tricky. I don't expect most of you guys to be able to do this, especially right now if you're just getting started with piano. But here's what you can do. Whoops. And when I'm stretching, I'm using my pointer finger to stretch and get these keys. And again, this damper pedal at this point is massively crucial because I'm kind of going slower because it's harder. But anyway, that's the first Arp Heaven. I want you to just to practice and figure out these notes just so you get them. And again, we're operating in the key of E flat. Because I started off, the E flats here, the ones we're arping, and that's the really nice one, the 1, 5, 8 that we've been going over. And I like to start up high. Now, when we're producing, especially for the producers in here, when you can draw on your notes, you can really jump and like drag notes up, right? See what I'm doing? It's hard. And by the way, guys, feel free to pause the video anytime here and just play through these. That was the first Arp Heaven that I wanted to go over with you guys. Now, the next Arp Heaven is a dissonant one, and it sounds like this. Actually, it's not too dissonant. It depends on the chord you play. So we are now operating in the key of D. So we just did, and we're going to typically play white keys for, the most of these, but I just wanted to change it up a little bit and play something that sounds a little bit different to our ears. So I have this right here, the D, A, D, and I want to add in this C sharp right here, which is the 7th in the key. G octaves and just arping this. The B. And notice my change happens when I hit this top D. So it goes up, and the octaves have a beautiful texture to them. And your hand should be burning if you're practicing this, especially if you're a beginner. But this is it right here. It's basically the 1, 5, 7, 8. So if I did this in the key of C, but see, there's just something that sounds better about this. Like it's this sharp that just adds the brightness in the key of D. So that sounds really beautiful. So what I want you to do is just practice, put your hands like on here, and we're using my thumb, my pointer finger, my ring finger, and this D, and then I'm just playing octaves with my left hand, and I'm just playing I'm playing this 4 times, so 3, then 4th. I feel like having, being like a meditation or yoga coach while playing some of these, because that truly put me in a state, and I was getting chills just playing that myself, and I can only imagine if this is the first time you're doing it, the feeling that you get, especially if you're in a quiet, like secluded area that's not around a lot of chaos. You can really kind of dig deep into your soul when you're playing these Arp Heaven ones. These are really beautiful ones to play. And the last one I'm going to show you guys, let me see here which one I really want to do. So it's just a 5-note arp. And we're playing this in the key of C, so we're just literally holding these notes. And we're moving our hand up and down. And then we'll play octaves. And we'll do it 4 times. So you can really just, and like just these notes, like they just sound good. The 1, 5, 6, 7, that. And again, guys, you can create your own Arp Heaven for whatever you want. If you want to just go back and forth like this, just remember basically what Arp Heaven is. It's a bunch of 16th notes, which I get into in the sheet music thing. It's just like repetition, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, because we come to another arp called the triplets arp that is like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's a bit different than Arp Heaven, but we're not going to get there yet because that's Arp Heaven. Practice those 3. I want to get into the rolling arps now, which have a lot to do with our left hand here, and I'm going to show you guys some unique ones that you can be doing and practicing and the right fingering to doing them, because a lot of this stuff, guys, come down to your fingering. And I go into it in the program, like I try to stress, like, okay, for these you use this, but it truly comes down to figuring out what you like the best. And even when I was working one-on-one with a teacher, she would say one thing and I would like another. The advice I am giving you in this program, though, 95% of it should work for you. If you have like very small hands or very large hands, you can change it, but the fingering that I'm doing should be the fingering that you're doing at home as well. All right, that was Arp Heaven. Let's get into the rolling arp now. So the rolling arp sounds like this. So like these are the rolling arps. You notice how they're rolling up and down. So you combine Arp Heaven with the rolling arp. And again, like if you just practice these, like you'll get them eventually. Like it just takes some time and some repetition. But for the rolling arps, I want to start off with our chord progression. It'll be A minor, F, C, and G. So the first rolling arp we're going to do is just going to be a simple crossover. We're playing an A power octave chord, and then we're basically just playing like a sus2 and then resolving to the third. So the fingering for this is pinky, pointer finger, and thumb, and then you cross over with this finger right here, this pointer finger. So we go, and then we go into our F power chord into it. So it sounds like this. And then we go to our C, and then we go to our G. So here we go again. And here we go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a rolling arp. Now, pause that and practice that one, but once you get that one good, we're going to add a little bit more to this rolling arp, and it's going to go like this. So now we're doing the fingering back down. So we're going 1, 2, 3, and tucking our thumb back under, and then just going back down, and then we go into our next chord. Now, what was weird when I went back down this time was that the next note that I hit was on the same C. So what I'm going to do for this one actually is do this for the A. And then I'm just going to pause and rest. And then I'm going to do the C one. So see how they were different? The A, those two were different. The A, and rewind it if you need to see that again. The A, we went up and then back down. And then the F, what we did was we just arped it out and then ended on that A. And then we keep going with the C, and we go back down, and then we implement the G. So what I want you to do is figure that out with the left hand. So get the going up, down for the A, and then the C and the F and the G are going to just remain just those 5 notes. And then once you have that, what I want us to do is add a C. So you're going to play a C every time you hit the bottom note. And notice what we had here on the G, if we assume our suspension guide with the G notes, we have, and I'll highlight all the notes, we have 4-3. Suspension. And again, these rolling arps are really beautiful and very pretty, and that was just one of them. So what I want to do now is I want you to pause, go through what we just went through, and then when you come back, and we'll be in the same video, we're going to go through more of the rolling arps. All right, so the next rolling arp we're going to do is going to be a sus2 rolling arp. So when we think about our sus chords and we keep the same chord progression, the A, the F, the A minor, F, C, and G, here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn all these into sus2 chords. And we're going to jump this A and all these 2s up an octave. So the way this is going to work, yes, fire suspension stuff, fire. Dun, 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 dun. And again, this should get the fireworks going off in your brain here of what we're actually doing with all of this with our left hand. So when I take my left hand and go, I'm basically spreading out my sus2 chord, and then I'm just playing the A and the C. So here we go. It's basically on all the notes in the end, they end up being a cluster chord. So here we go. And I'm just trying to get your left hand more and more comfortable playing the piano and doing these things here, and hopefully sparking some creative thoughts when it comes to your melody. So here we go. One more time, and then I want you to pause it and try this yourself. And again, pinky, pointer finger, thumb, and then I just use those same fingers to do this. And that is what we call right there the rolling arp. Now, something else that I like people to do is when we take our seventh chords and think back to our seventh chords, we essentially have two chords combined in these seventh chords. And we're gonna do this, is gonna be a two-hand rolling arp here. And what it is we're basically taking the A and the E, this chord and then this chord, we're turning them both into power octave chords and we're arping those out. So this is how it will sound. So we go, because basically what we're doing is, if you look at the notes here, this is an A minor seventh chord just really spread out. And then the next chord I want to jump into is an F major seventh. So if we think of our F major seventh, it's these two chords. So it's gonna be A, yes. So here we go. And then if we think of our next chord, it's going to be, because the next chord is a G maj 7, like that. So basically we're arping out all these from the start. And here we go again, where we are arping. And then all power octave chords here, and then the last one we will just do just a basic G, because we're not doing anything fancy with the G. Just G power octave chords. So here we go with this both-handed arp again. Here we go. And then our last one. And this is like an inverted power octave chord. I'm just doing the perfect fourth first and then the perfect fifth, which is the exact opposite as the way this one is. So I want to play that one more time, then I want you guys to practice that one. And by the way, if you really fall in love with all these arps, you can go through so many more in Improv Mastery. That place is literally full of them. So if you want to just spend all day arping, go to Improv Mastery after this arpeggiation. This is gonna be a pretty long video too, though. Don't get me wrong. Again, the point of this program is I am going in deep. This is no like cookie cutter $20 Udemy course piece of crap that you can get on there. This is the real stuff. This is 23 years of work. So it's not gonna be easy all the time. And if you guys want an excuse to not do the work, there's no complaining here. Okay. I was being a little bit of a hard ass there just to make sure you guys, wake up. Anyway. That is basically taking and ripping our chords apart and arping them. So you can do that with almost any of the chords that you're playing. And we just arp them slowly up and slowly down, right? So I want to go over one more rolling arp before we get into the back and forth arps. So this rolling arp right here is just a 3-note roll. It's very simple. But what we do is we kind of transform this one into one of our next arp, which is known as the back and forth arp. So when we take our major chord and we jump the C up an octave, it then becomes an open chord, and we just roll this out. But here's what I want to do with this arp. Now guys, your hands is going to be really tough for you to stretch here, so you have to twist your wrist so that it leaves the maximum amount of room for you to play these notes. And again, we're playing them slowly and we have the damper pedal so we can jump a little bit, but you're basically just doing this 3-note arp and you're arping back and forth with your pinky, your pointer finger and your thumb. If you cannot do this one, just do this. That's just arping the power chord back and forth. But this one is the last one of the rolling arps, then we're going into the back and forth arps. So here we go. See what you can do once you add a little melody to that thing? It's like you've been playing piano for years. And I know a lot of the stuff we're doing here is it's a lot of beautiful, jazzy type music. But again, use that chord progression thing. We can make a lot of different types of music. We can make pop. We can make rock and roll. Again, a lot of the stuff that we're doing here is stuff from the Beatles and stuff from a lot of other things. But if we want to change up the genre, change up the chord progression. I just like playing beautiful music because that's just my style, but and all I was doing there was I took the C, the A minor, the F, and the G chord just to show you that I can change the genre pretty easily. But that concludes the rolling arps part of this. I'm now going to jump into the back and forth arps, and these basically get their name from what you do, and it's just going back and forth. So what we can do with these back and forth arps is just literally that. You play the root, and then if we want to do like the 5th and the 3rd back and forth, that's what we can do. So I'll play through a quick chord progression using the 1, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3. So going to the 5th. Now what's cool about this is if you start throwing inversions in here, that can spice things up a lot for you. So if we go like this, see, it's just it's the 1, 5, and 3 back and forth. Now the alternative is instead of going to the 5th first, you go to the 3rd first. So it's like this. Or I forget the chord progression. It was A minor, F, C, and G. That's right. And again, these set the precedent for some nice introductory stuff. And if you take both hands and do them at the same time, you're basically accompanying, if you have a singer, you can accompany the singer by doing stuff like this. So here's both hands. And again, we're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? And I showed you guys this one where you're going back and forth with the power octave chord. And I'll show you one more back and forth just because I like these arpeggiations. And this one is just going to be the, instead of, going like this, you're arping back and forth between all 3 notes. So if you listen, So that's all I'm doing right there with those arps. It's just rolling back and forth. And those are 3 back and forth rolling arps that you can use with almost any chord progression. So what I'm gonna ask you to do here is pause the video, pick your favorite chord progression, and go through those 3 back and forth arps with your left hand. And if you wanna work on your right hand as well, feel free to. Remember what I had mentioned though, that we're playing the melody with our right hand and the chords with our left hand. And that's how I've traditionally done mostly everything on the piano. So feel free to do that. And we're gonna go over one more after you come back to me, which is the triplets. So the triplets, remember how I said arp heaven was like 16th notes and it was very... The triplets operate on a different time signature and it's a little bit funky, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it still follows the 1, 2, 3, 4 pace, but instead of something like this, it goes like this. Now, where I really enjoy playing triplets is taking chords in my right hand and actually inverting them so that I'm playing a 6th. Because if we think about an A minor chord, these sound like kind of cool, but when you jump the A up an octave, you actually have a 6th between your C and your A. So if you start up top, and we're gonna keep going with the same chord progression, the A minor, F, C, G. And it's a ninja trick. Triplets sound great when you have a 6th, and then you have something else in the middle to play. When you play them like this, it's fine. It's okay, but the 6th, for some reason, they sound really good with triplets, and I've experimented a lot with this, and these by far sound the best. So we have our A minor power octave chord. And then what I wanna do is, so I'm playing an A minor power octave chord, or just an A power octave chord, and I'm arping the C, the A, and the E with my pinky, thumb, and this finger. And then the next chord I want to go to is an F chord. So I'm trying to see where I can change up the... Why don't we do this instead? I want to arp... That's what we'll do. So I'll arp the A, the E, and the C with my pinky, pointer, and thumb. So it'll be like this. And then I'm going to change and use my middle finger to play this F. So we're playing an F inverted chord. And I want to keep the 6th. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the C up here. And then just slide my hand. So if you listen in, so pinky, pointer finger, thumb. And then the F major chord broken out in triplets. And again, it's an inverted one. So pinky, thumb, pinky, middle finger, thumb. Slide my hand up, pinky, pointer finger, thumb. And then B, G, and D. And then add in the damper, or the sustain pedal. And these are some really unique triplets that you can use. Let's go over one more example. All right, so the last ARP triplet is going to be this one right here. So with our left hand, all we'll play is the octaves, F, A, and G. So this is gonna be the ARP, the triplets. So the first one we have is a cluster chord just broken out. And then we have our A minor 7th chord broken out. And then we have this G basically cluster chord, the G, B, C, D. So here we go. using that F with a D power octave chord. Here's the F. And there you have it. That is a beautiful triplet. And again, really, I'm just keep on doing these, and I know they may be repetitive to a degree, and a lot of it sounds the same. Once you start transposing these different keys, the game completely changes. You'll be playing an ARP, and you change up the key, and then all of a sudden, it does not sound the same at all. And you scratch your head, and you wonder, oh, what is that from? And even today, like, my ear hasn't adapted fully to even notice a lot of the things that are going on in different keys of different songs. I've been doing this for a very long time and a lot of songs played. Point of it is, those are a bunch of different arpeggiations that you can use. If you really want to get in deep dive into more arps, you can go into improv mastery, but I'm going to hold off for now because these modules have been pretty intense. They've been all pretty long, and they've been like full on, things that you can practice over and over again and keep on getting better at. So with all that being said, well done in this video, and I will see you in the next one.